Right, lot, and welcome to the fifth part of this 12-part Lit Breakdown series. Now, if you don't know what I'm doing, I'm going through the new album, song by song, breaking down, basically, the meaning behind the songs and going lyric by lyric and kind of explaining them, because it's one of my favourite things to kind of watch, kind of genius interviews and seeing artists really explain the artistic meaning behind a lot of their songs. So a lot of times you're confused, and I'm sure if you heard this album, there were a couple of tracks where you probably don't have a clue what's going on, so I'm going to try and explain it in the best way I can. So, yeah, now this time I'm going in order that I wrote the songs. So I did Golden Years, which was the first single, so the first song I wrote. I wrote that in about late July, early August 2023. Heartbreaking I wrote middle of August, and Nightmare Neighbour and Find a Way Part 2 I wrote end of August, going into September. This one was late September, early October 2023, from what I remember. So, yeah. Now, the reason I've waited on this one is because I had to, this is a very, education-based song, a very school-related song, so I had to wait till I was officially done with the school, and, the school is over, so I can actually break this one down, just in case. I've got to be cautious, they found stuff in the past, so I've got to sort of deal with that. So, New Frontier, it's a song about moving on to the next step, leaving school, going to college. It's quite, it's straightforward. I'm not trying to trick you or anything with the song, and it's kind of is retrospective of my regrets in education, and I'll try and explain that in layman's terms. So, yeah, so let's get on with this one, shall we? So verse 1, broken and swallowed, my time was borrowed, feeling wasted, depression follows, sheltered and captive, my brain was cracked, held back, couldn't be active. New Frontier is the sound of the song is very timeless. It's got a very traditional sound to it. It's probably one of the most, you could have played New Frontier in the 1960s and it wouldn't be too out of place, whereas if you played some of the other tracks, or pretty much any other track, it would feel very out of place in that era, because that's what I kind of wanted. So I wanted the verses to be quite short and compact with this one, because I wanted to go for a timeless old feel, and in that period, a lot of the time, there weren't many lyrics in songs back then, and it was it's more about the sound, or the tune. And you notice that a lot of the best songs are the 80s and the 70s and 90s. No one cares about the lyrics, you know what I mean? It's all about the tunes, and I kind of wanted to go with that, except the lyrics do hold a bit of weight in New Frontier, so maybe the whole thing's pointless. But it's kind of like, I'm saying brokers for my time was borrowed. It's like, I'm basically saying it was a waste of time. And because just the education that was on offer just wasn't to the standard. I had to go out kind of elsewhere to literally see GCSEs, which is quite mad. And persistently told, oh, you're not good enough, you're at this level, when I know I'm better than what they're saying my capacity is. So it was like, yeah, you're in a captivity, and you're seeing everyone else, and you're not relating to all these experiences of kind of mainstream education, and it's frustrating. Needed it at the time to let my head rest like a bird going past the nest. So yeah, the bird is kind of like, in the beginning it made sense because I struggled a lot, but then with time it just became increasingly frustrating because the level and just the competence just wasn't there, so it was persistently frustrating. Okay, chorus. After all these years, I'm ready for a new frontier. No sign of tears, it's a decision to kill. This new frontier will rewrite my talent, we find it for. Yeah, I like the idea of the fresh start, because I was at school for 7.5 years, nearly 8. I round it to 8, so it was nearly a decade, or not really, but over half a decade, you know what I mean? 2017, back when, Uganda Knuckles was a meme, you know what I mean? That's how old it was. You know, when, that was when the Brexit referendum was happening, when we voted for that, so, that's how long ago it was, you know what I mean? What films came out in 2017? Let me think. What was happening in the MCU? I think that's when Spider-Man Homecoming came out, I believe. Yeah. So, that's how long ago we're dealing. So, I've spent this much time, and in that time, every story, every element of myself has been revealed. And, of course, there's been, changes, but too much is known. And I'll get more into that in the next bit. But it's the decision's clear. I want to move on. I want to get out of this hellhole. And I feel that I can rewrite, I tell, and become a better version of myself with the continued. So that was kind of the feeling there. So verse 2, a new chance to reinvent, no predetermined notion, completely new scent, passings will always be known, my tendencies to vent, but I'm either, so I'll be able to prevent. Yeah, so that's kind of the thing about, I've said too much. Like, my friends know things about me which is like, they shouldn't know, but that's ingrained in their memory, and it is frustrating. And then staff as well, like, there's a lot of stuff I've done that I regret, because I've grown 8 years of history, from like 9 years old to 16, nearly 17 years old. It's like, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of growing. That's pretty much half of my life. So like, you've changed, but like too much has gone on. So it's like, I like the idea of going into a place. So I'm going to a place where I know nobody. And in a way that's daunting, because it's like, what if everything else is already established and you kind of collapse? But then at the same time, you look at it on the bright side and you're like, this is a new version. No one knows who you are. Because no one's ever heard of Brawl Burner Fish or Admate, let's be honest. So you can go in there and be a new version, reinvent, get a new scent, but still remaining true. Of course, I'm not going to like become like a different character, but you know what I mean. Then the extended bridge, everything's always been a fight to prove more than the pressure. Right, at the time I'm fighting for me up about, I have to leave. Yeah, it's always like, I hate when people think they know your life and what you can do more than yourself. Like, people, I know older, wiser figures in your life are going to be knowledgeable in the world, and maybe you are being naive. But when it comes to things like, oh, you're not capable of doing this, GCSE, like, you when you know you are, and you've got to prove that, and then you do prove them wrong, and then they've still got things, and it's this uphill battle. And in life, you know what I mean, you always have people that are empathetic, but everyone's living their own journey at the end of the day, and the most important person in your life is you. And I know it's an arrogant kind of sentiment, but it's true. You've got to fight for yourself in this world, because you're the one persistent voice that's going to always be fighting for you. People, family, friends come and go, literally in death, and also falling apart, and you can't rely on everyone else to change your destiny. You've got to take proaction, and I feel like that's always been what I've been doing, having to take the action and prove people, which is quite funny. Okay, the chorus is the same. Okay, the extended chorus, this new frontier is also very near. Let the crowd all clear. I waited all this years to start. Okay, what's the passage to it? It kind of like, it's like that triumph of like that coming at the turns, and it's like, it's the past, present, and future. So you look into the future, because I wrote this in like, you know, late September. So this was at the start of year 11. So I'm looking into that moment of like when you walk out the door, that kind of adrenaline as you triumph into the next stage, and it's like, that's very strong. And then the verse 3 is, do I regret it? Yes and no. It gave me strength, but gave the journey, so things will be better at this point, that I know. I waited the 7 years, that I know. This is kind of the emotional, like, I kind of weigh up the thing, because you never know how history would have been. And like, you can always say, oh, if I stayed at history, I would have gone on to do better things, but you never know. Small events in history, you change the smallest of things. You change one conversation, everything changes, you know what I mean? Like, what if Hitler's art teacher accepted him in early on? Or like, maybe he still would have gone on to be the famous dictator that he became. Or maybe he would just be another artist and Stalin would have taken over the world. Like, little things, little moments change things. So it's easy to say, like, oh, I wasted 7 years, which I do believe in a lot of sense I did, but then it built me into the person I am today. And a lot of the experiences and things that I've gone through and things that I've done have shaped me. Because your experiences shape you into the person you are. So it's like, I'm weighing up the thing of like, it gave me a lot of strength, it gave me the ability of triumph. And would I still know things about myself that I do now without this 7.5 years? Probably not. But then they might come out in other avenues and other ways, because you could say, like, people talk about fate and things, and it's like everything's fated, and everything you're going to do is already there. It's just the journey can be different ways, and you could take the long way or the shortcuts and sort of thing. So it's a very complex song, because it's an emotion-filled song, New Frontier, in the sense that I'm ready this next step, this next chapter. But then I don't want to degrade too hard on the school, because in a lot of senses it did have a lot of positives, which maybe I could have pointed out more. But I feel I do that more with other songs later on in the album, some like Number Crunch, for example, which will be the last song we break down. So yeah, I feel like this is an interesting breakdown because it's not a very lyric-y song. New Frontier, there's not a lot of words. It's probably, I think I did a word counter. Let me try and find this a minute. Word counter. Yeah, so for some reason, right, I decided to take all my songs and count them by word. So let's find, where is it? I'm trying to find it. New Frontier. Find to myself last and right up the storm, replicate if I have these sketches. New Frontier, 236. As compared to something like, Lines for Myself, 36 thing, or Almost Fallen, 421, or Find Your Way Part 2, 674, Cardboard Box, 900, and Finally Thriving, 390. You know what I mean? These songs have a lot more words. I think it might be the shortest song. I think I've seen Not Enough, 262. So, but even that was bigger. So it might be my shortest song. I think it is. No, Waiting for Mistletoe. Okay, the Christmas song is the only song that's shorter than New Frontier, because that was the style I was going for, and that was intentional. So, you know what I mean? Johnny, that was my breakdown of New Frontier. I hope you did enjoy this one, because it was a more interesting breakdown for me to do, and one that I think brought up a lot of good questions. The next breakdown I'm doing is If I Have You, that's going to be an interesting breakdown.